Hi everybody, you're very welcome back to What's the Story podcast. Are you looking to support local businesses? Well, now you can. Check out the brand new Clara Business Directory on www.littletownmedia.com. You'll find all our local businesses in one place with one click. So let's support our own and check out the Clara Business Directory on littletownmedia.com. It's everything you need in black and white. This podcast is brought to you by the Millhouse Bar and Restaurant Clara. Food served Wednesday to Saturday until 8 p.m. and Sunday until 5. Call today and book a table on 05793 308 62. And don't forget, our bar is open as normal, subject to restrictions. Looking forward to serving you at the Millhouse Bar and Restaurant very soon.
Broadcasting live from the little town of Clara, County Offaly, it's What's the Story with Lloyd Bracken. Get in touch today through all our social channels and have your say. Oh, and thanks for listening. Now it's over to you, Lloyd. What's the story?
Hi everyone, you're very welcome back. This is indeed What's the Story podcast with myself, Lloyd Bracken. We're coming to you live from Raheen in Clara, County Offaly. I hope you're enjoying all the shows that we've had so far. Last week we had a brilliant show, Raheen Radio with Danny McCormick, and some lovely tributes sent in for his father, the late Speedy McCormick, and a great reaction to that. And it was lovely having Danny in. And a right bit of crack as well. You can find that podcast and all the previous podcasts on our brand new website, www.littletownmedia.com. And that's also where you'll find the Clara Business Directory plus so much more. So please check that out. This week we have a fantastic guest in studio with me here. And I suppose she's Ireland's favourite granny. Would that be fair to say? She shot the fame. Yes, shot the fame. A couple of years ago when she had her own show on the Joe Duffy Show. Yeah, we'll hear more about that later. But it's a pleasure to introduce to you Emmy Scanlon. What's the story?
Hello. How is everybody in Clara?
Emmy, how are you? You well?
Great. And
Emmy, have you ever been in Raheen before?
I was all over the town. I was indeed. Used to ride a bike up to Tommy Gagan to get the apples off him to make the apple tarts long ago. Tommy up there.
Yeah.
Lord rest them all. Indeed I was all over the town.
That was a fair cycling over, was it?
Well, it was. Well, you got you out of the house as well, And then Tommy would take down the banjo and then Emmy would start singing. And sure, they were the days, We made our own sport. We loved music. I really loved music. And we had our groups like Your Own Father. And there was Davy Cavan. And there was great musicians in the town. There was Scully and there was Jimmy. Oh, I'll say it now in a few minutes.
Jimmy Rabbit?
There was Jimmy Rabbit and Paddy Rabbit, Frank Lord rest them. Silver Star was the first dance band.
Right. How many was in that band? Tell us about the Silver Star.
There was Ger Cooper, there was Frank Newman, there was Paddy Rabbit, Jimmy Rabbit and Mary Carton. It was 1947. The first place they played was in Horshleap. I'm sure it was packed. And after that then we used to go to the dances in Horshleap. Then the Blue Crotchets from Moat. Dougsy Duffy used to sing with them. Lovely singer she was too. But we went all over the place and your father used to have an group and we had a group. Oh, Jesus, they called us the Branches. Oh, Lord.
Was this a Twigs tribute act now, the Branches?
No, I don't know. No, Twigs. No, the Twigs was gone out of date. They were the Branches. And Christian McGowan, Lord have mercy on him, we used to play in Christie's. And he put a big tree up in the window, And he'd have me sitting up on top of the branch, the top one. And sure, great crack. And you got £7 a night. And sure, the boys would drink £10, So you didn't make any money at that time.
What sort of stuff would you be singing, Emmy?
Well, we sang all the old songs, the old Rusty Bridge by the Mill and foxtrots, old-time waltzes. Everyone danced in the pub at that time, And
how did you get around?
Oh, Joe Guinan. We used to have to leave at 4 o'clock to get to Tullamore. Oh, shit.
A slow bus it was.
Oh, slow butter China is right. Oh, Lord.
Emmy, can I say you were born in 1936? Are we allowed to say that?
1937.
1937,
Yeah.
okay. And you were born to your parents, Tom and Molly Newman.
That's right, yeah.
What are your earliest memories growing up?
Well, our earliest memories growing up, there was always music in the house. My grandfather, like in Ballycnahee, that's where the Rabbits Band started. They used to practice in it. He played a melodeon and he used to step dance. And my father, well, he tried to play it, but he used to learn a toss then, you know. And it wasn't what key you were on or what key you got. You press number 6 button, you pull through number 5 button, and if you didn't do it right, then you take your box. So that's where we all started off.
All right.
You know.
Yeah. So
And they were great holidays.
Was it a busy house, Emmy?
It was. Played cards in it, and all the neighbours used to ramble in. Mother would make a corn cake. They called it a spotted dog, and she'd make tea. And well, every house nearly was the same. A lot of houses were the same, you know.
Yeah.
And the neighbours all rambled into one another, you know.
And of course, all the neighbours back then, well, I'm guessing,
Well, the
looked
neighbours
after each other.
now are nice too,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But
there's a real sense of camaraderie and everyone looking after each other.
there was,
bringing
and
stuff.
everyone looked after everyone, you know. There was on my road now. I was married in 1954. You know, there was the Fallons and the Kynes and the Cunninghams, and they're all still there, you know.
Yeah.
And
Generations later.
Generations later. And across the road, there's lovely people too. There's the Noctons and then, you know, and Patrick Rabbit. And they're all coming back to live there, you know. There's a son of Thomas Fallon's now living in the granny's house. He bought the granny's house. And, you know, it's nice to see,
Lovely to see
the young people coming back, you know.
Yeah. And so tell us then, who else would be kind of rambling around the house then?
Had to be everyone, you know. The country people the Cunninghams out of Derry used to go for a drink of a Saturday night, and if there was a bike at Mike Gable Inn when they'd be passing, they'd bring the bikes with them, you know, and the bikes would be gone the next morning. They weren't able to walk any further, you know. So, you know, we lived a simple life, but we had to work for anything we got, you know. Different than it is now, really.
Do you think yourself now, kids miss out on a simpler life than what you had? Too much technology and all that sort of stuff now?
There's a lot of technology, but other than that, they didn't miss out, you know. I just say if it's a kind of born within you, do you know what I mean now?
Yeah.
I see Owen there now, and he can play anything. He's a great old musician, you know.
Brilliant, yeah.
But then we rambled down to the pubs, and you got your messages for Friday. Frank worked in the mail, and he dug the graves, and I took over the grave, and I still caretaking it.
That's unbelievable. You're still at this moment.
I am
still
indeed, yes.
What does that entail? Emmy?
Well, you meet people, and it's nice to know people. Father Joe comes up and down there.
So if somebody dies tomorrow in Clara, is Emmy Scanlon informed of this? And
yeah. Well, the undertakers who ring you, Michael White now, and Baggots and Counts. Everyone knows where their plots are now. Long ago, there was no headstones up or anything, and you had to go up and show them. I still have a book, and, you know, I still do it, and I work for the county council.
Wow.
Yeah.
Still, any chance of you retiring ever now?
Well, hopefully keep going as long as I can anyway.
That's amazing,
You know.
Do you like it? You like
I
working?
love it. It keeps me going. I do the books for the county council, the new graveyard, and the undertakers comes up with their money for the graves, and I bank them. Now the bank's gone in Church Street.
Yeah, that's a big loss.
There's absolutely nothing. Yeah. Absolutely.
It is a huge loss. I mean, to someone like yourself who'll be using it.
It's a huge loss.
The ATM is gone.
Yeah, you know, and we know nothing about cards or anything like that. You know, it's just money across the counter, you know, yourself.
Yeah. No, I even know about my own mother telling us she missed the bank going in and lodging money or whatever, taking out money.
Yeah. Oh, it's changed so much, you know. It's really, really changed. But we just have to cope with it. You know, it's as simple as that, you know.
You mentioned Frank there. Where did you meet?
In the graveyard.
I was going to ask you, was that a joke? Was not. You're serious.
Oh, that's the truth. No, you isn't telling you a lie. You didn't organise a meeting that time. However you met one another, that was it.
Right. And how did that come about?
Well, do you see, used to talk about love, but Jesus, there was no such thing that time, you know. You go into bed, you go out of bed, you had a child every year. And, do you know, and if that was love, God, I'm telling you.
Well, you had enough kids now, so that was real love.
Lord, we had no choice. We had no radiators or anything, you know. So it kept us warm as well, you know.
Fantastic.
So, Jesus, I'd be put out of the town.
Can you tell us about Frank, for people like myself who hadn't the pleasure of knowing Frank?
Frank was great. He worked in the mill, the flour mill, and he dug the graves, pound that time for a grave, you know. And
that was heavy
He was
work
a great
now, wasn't
father.
it?
He was a great father, but he a great worker. And the lads, you know, when the lads come on then, you know, they used to dig the graves, and then there'd be a row above in the graveyard, and he'd come down and said, Beckers, he'd say, a clock and hen had scraped more out of the ground than they would, and there'd be a row over a grave. And instead of saying the Lord of mercy on anyone, I needn't tell you what they'd say when he'd lug them all up to the graveyard with a spade on their shoulder. Oh, Lord, leave it so.
The stories my father was telling me, he was meant to be a fantastic character.
Yeah, he was a great character.
Yeah, good lad.
And he was a drummer. He was a great old drummer.
Was he, yeah?
He played with the Silver Star.
All right.
Yeah.
And of course your son Tommy then was drumming as well.
And Tommy, yeah.
So the apple didn't fall too far.
No. It's like yourselves, you know. It has to be there in the roots, you know. Well, we had a great old time. We had old music, and we went to play here and there. And, you know, you went to Horslip Sunday night on a bicycle, and 5 or 6 of us, but one would have a light, and the lad in the front, he'd lead the way if there was something coming, you know, and we'd be all behind.
Yeah.
Because no one could afford a lamp or anything that time. You
God
know.
help if someone stopped in front of you.
I don't know. A lot of them stopped.
Emmy, what was Clara like back then? Can you give us a little...
Clara was lovely. Clara was a great town. There was great characters in the town. There was Carey's shop there now, and the Gaggins and Billy Cohn and Bernie and Frank, we'd all assemble there, especially after a match, you know. It was great gallery, you know, and sang old songs, and went to Dolan's and Cowan's. You went from Montreal. It was a great town. It's a good town now too, you know. I'm not going to criticise it or anything, but we need more shops in it, you know.
Well, I was going to ask you, what's the difference now in your opinion?
There's a big
Clara?
difference. There was a lot of shops that time, you know. You had a draper shop, and well, there's Kelly's there now.
Yeah.
And we dealt in Kelly's all our life, you know. Joe, Lord of mercy on him, and that's the way it was. Yeah.
But the original drapery shop where you used to get your fashions then for going to Horslip on a Sunday night?
Minnie Ruxton. And she was only 4, we'd be all down with the cows. Only 4. And she'd come over Saturday morning, 6 o'clock, to collect a £0.50 on the bicycle.
Wow.
She was a hardy old
So how did that happen now? You bought your clothes and then she came and collected the money?
Well, Saturday morning, if there was a dance the following Sunday night, you ordered a dress off her. Right. But then Nano Gag and Molly and them all had the one dresses. We were all dressed the same. It was like fashion.
Was she Cotney now with the same dresses?
No, she wasn't. She used to get the same material made all our frocks seemingly. But other than that, no. We had great whole laughs. But I loved the club. The club was great.
The club you talk about is the retirement club,
the active retirement.
Tell us about that.
And I love all the girls in it. And we have great old crack. We play bingo and we chat. But it's getting a bit like a garage now. We'll be talking about her spare parts, you know. More like a garage now in the club.
Now, Emmy, you should be in that group because you're not retired, so you're cheating. All right. So if the girls are listening now, you're out of this group tomorrow now.
I want to say hello to them all now, Peggy and Anne and Mary and Maggie May and all the girls. I love them all now. We do a pretty whole crack.
What would you be getting up to?
Oh,
can you tell us?
I'll be telling you now. We'd be chatting about her pains and aches and, you know.
So a kind of a counselling session.
It was like putting on your trousers, want to be holding up the other, and you know what goes on.
Would you recommend a group like that for retired people?
I would, and I'd recommend anyone in the town that's our age to join it because it breaks the week as bad.
Yeah.
And you hear different stories, and you know, I love it now, really do.
So you meet up a couple of times a week, or?
No, once, for Wednesday afternoon.
And you do day trips and stuff like that? Or?
Well, we're going on holidays now. We're going to Waterford in November, mid-November. We're going for a week. We share rooms with one another, you know. I needn't tell you.
What goes on?
Oh, Lord.
Would there be a song now sang, Emmy?
There
Would
would.
you the kind of, would it be calling in
There'd be
you?
a bottle of whiskey and a bottle of wine in the room. They'd be all in the room. We'd have great crack. Mary Rock and
Brilliant.
Nora Newman, the whole lot of us.
So this is kind of like the female mystery tour that goes on.
Well, it's a mystery, it's right, sometimes. But we get on well. We get on fairly well now.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
I thought I was bad. You mentioned you met Frank in a graveyard. I met my wife at a funeral, so we kind of something in common there.
That's worse again.
Emmy, you've a big family of your own now, 13,
yes.
I believe.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
They're all married now and gone. And, well, they're not gone.
Yeah.
Now, I'll tell you something.
Go on now. Now's your chance to get it out now. Tell them.
Sometimes now you'd rather be in Mount Chide than in our house. I tell you that much. With children all over the place. But I love all the children.
Yeah.
I love all my grandchildren, you know.
How many grandchildren have you?
I have 26 grandchildren and I have 22
Wow.
great-grandchildren.
The great-grandchildren nearly
Yeah.
catching up on the
Yeah,
grandkids.
yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah. I was married young. I was only 17 when I got married, you know, and that time just got on with it.
17, that was, I suppose, like my own mother and father, 17,
Yeah,
18.
yeah,
That was what
yeah.
was done, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And we worked for Anthony, you know, we had to work. It was hard work. You go up there in the morning, got them all out of school, and there was 10 o'clock mass for Sunday, and brought them to 10 o'clock mass. And then if you were pregnant and wasn't able to go, you'd send Peachy and Tommy and Joe and them all, and you gave them a threepenny bit. But they wound up then, they used to go any further than Dan Quinn's. He had the drudger.
Right, what's that?
And he had a drudger, you know, there was little gadgets in it. If you picked it up, you put a penny in.
Right.
And then they'd stand out on the road to see what priest said mass. And
Brilliant. So when they came home, you say, who said mass?
oh, yeah. And they'd be able to tell you. Oh, Jesus, Martin Flattery would come down the town and you'd be able to tell them. Oh, God. Brilliant. Oh, Lord, they were great days.
Emmy, what was your school life like? What do you remember?
School
from
life was great, you know. School life was great. Like all your pals and whoever you sat beside. We used to copy one another, you know, but sure, we had no brains. If we had brains anyway, I wouldn't have a whole lot of children. But the nuns were all right. I'll tell you what the nuns done. They learnt us to have manners, to obey our father and mother. You know, you weren't allowed to call your mother or your father out with their name or anything like that, you know. They really taught us, and they taught us what life was all about, you know. They done their best with it.
Was that something then you instilled in your own family then, the respect?
Well, I suppose it goes from one generation to the other, you know. And, you know, there's no use in talking about hard times. Everyone was in the one boat, you know.
Yeah.
But we got there. Now, the brothers was great. We lived now behind the monastery. And they were very good to us, very, very good to us. And then the boys had worked with the farmers and they went to the bog and the foot turf, you know. Everyone mucked in, you know. If it was only 10 shillings a week they got, well, they had a few bob for themselves, you know. But everyone was in the one boat. There was no one was real well off, you know.
Yeah. So that was the ethos, work hard.
But that's the way it was, you know. And you made the best of it. And I enjoyed every day I got up to live it and get the kids out to school, and then there's confirmation and first communion, and then I wasn't the only one.
A madhouse.
Because
I have 5 inside and it's crazy. You had 13, all different.
Oh.
How did you do it every morning? Get up the lunches and get them out?
Well, Frank worked in the mill and he'd go out at 6 o'clock in the morning, you know, and then you got up and you got ready. Well, you'd leave everything ready the night before, you know, but then the lad would be first up, would be the best dressed in school, you know. You know, he'd have a good pair of boots on him and a good trousers and a good shirt on him, you know. So
I had John and Paul on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, on a twins podcast.
Yeah.
And I was asking them, was your mother and father in shock? Now, they said, yeah, you can tell us the truth. Was it a big shock?
Oh, Jesus. I went up to poor old Corby and he examined me.
Right.
He said, Emmy, you're going to have a big baby. He didn't tell me I was going to have 2. I mean, it's great now that people know what they're going to have and when they're going to have it.
Yeah.
But Nurse Rowan, Lord rest her now, she was the midwife that time. And my mother was with me, and Mary Kine, Paddy Kine's wife, Lord have mercy on her. And the usual, you know. But then There was a basin of boiling water, and you had everything ready, and you had the nappies ready. And well, I was only out ready for one. Now, Paul, till Franklin was paid of a Friday, Paul was wrapped in swaddling clothes, very similar. You know who. And I sure. The were easier air than one.
Right, that's it.
Because I had one another for company, you know.
Yeah.
John Corby was a great doctor. He was very, very good to everyone. He'd be on the ball, he'd come up there now, and he went down to the mill to Frank. Frank was on night work.
Right.
And he looked for Frank, and Frank said, "Oh Lord," says Frank, "what happened? Is Emmy dead?" No, he said, "Well, there's a whole lot of children above the house." You know, he was a great doctor. The Lord be good to him. He was a great doctor.
Yeah, I mean, he was everyone's doctor
He was
in Clara
everyone's
at one stage,
doctor,
wasn't he?
and he never singled out anyone. He treated everyone the same.
Yeah, which is brilliant.
Lord rest him. Oh yeah, he was a brilliant man.
Fantastic.
You could go to him at any hour of the night, you know.
You mentioned your school days then. Did you work at all in Emmy after school, or were you straight into...
Well, I worked in Williams's in the back road, and we used to get 2 shillings a day. But then you had that extra. Actually, we gave everything to our mothers when we went home. We worked in the factory, and you went home and you handed up your pay pack. You never opened it. And you get back a half a crown for the dance and horselip, and then you get a half a crown for Minnie Ruxton, or you get a half a crown for Miss McManus. You didn't know Miss McManus.
No.
Well, when we wouldn't have the half crown, then we go home the back road from work. We wouldn't come round the town because you couldn't pass the door. She'd make a show of you. She'd show at you.
So everything, your money, everything was budgeted down to the last
Everything
tea.
was budgeted. You put back, I used to put away £1 of a Friday evening for Frank to go for a few pints. He used to go to Cowan's for Saturday night and Sunday. But, you know... I suppose it kept us all together, really, you know.
Absolutely.
You know.
Emmy, we're going to hear a little piece of audio now from one of your kids.
Yes.
Okay. Any idea? Would you like to guess which one?
No.
Okay, we'll have a little listen here.
Hello, Emmy and Lloyd. Congratulations on your podcast. Someone said say something nice about your mother. Well, I suppose growing up, the first thing we realised anyway, when we were young, that you were a southpaw. A kid talk, led with the right and hip with the left. But you put manners on us, fair play to you, 13, it wouldn't have been easy. So I just say congratulations from all the family. You and my father left us a legacy that money can't buy, is to have respect and manners for everyone. So well done, Lloyd, well done, Emmy.
That's Colin, is it?
No, that's Tommy.
Oh, Tommy.
Tommy, yeah. I suppose you all sound the same a bit, don't you?
Joe got a bleed on the brain magazine. He went to the hospital, and of course, they asked me all the questions. And the doctor said, "Did you ever fall?" Like, he played soccer, and Jimmy played soccer, and Jimmy got that as well. You know, there is something to do with hitting the ball. They're all talking about this now.
Okay, right.
But the surgeon asked him, "Do you know?" He says, "Well, everywhere my mother got a belt, it was on the head." But when you had a big family, you had to keep manners on them,
Had to keep
cultivation
decorum.
on them, you know, and you had to learn them to help everyone else. And, you know, long ago when you'd be coming home from school, if there was a woman coming up the road with a bag of messages, you carry the messages, you know. There was an old woman who lived up the road from us, Mrs. Fahey, and she used to have a little basket. And you take that off and you carry, and you leave her up to her own house, and then you come back and go home. We were that's the way we were brought up, you know.
Help each other out.
Help each other. And it was no harm, you know. Just a simple way of living. And we were happy. We were happy at what we were doing, you know. We had no choice.
Your own kids, like, there's a lot of county medals there and everything, and sport. And
There is.
the huge house for sport in Scanlon's.
Oh, Lord, Des Dillon. You had to go in every week. We used to buy the football boots in Des Dillon's. And the first lad going to the match, you'd have the good ones, you know. And
Right.
it used to be, oh Lord, they'd be murdered. They'd be all going out to play. Then a lot of them played soccer as well in the hurl.
Emmy, what were you like on the sidelines?
Well, now, me and Keithy Daly should be locked up, the two of us. The two of us.
Was there a pair of you in it?
I mean, as Noel Cooney come up to me one day, he says, "Listen," he said, "every referee has no father." We used to I won't say the word. Well, he'd say, "It's terrible to say every referee has no father." That's what I used to say.
So when referees seen you in the stand or whatever, to be saying,
Would they be watching you?
My God,
Oh,
not these
Lord,
players.
Lord, save us. We were above engagement one night and someone hit Mark Daly. And we had a whole Kitty, she was going to cross the pale and there was, jeez, stop. She was a great gallery. It was a great gallery.
But she had
and
great
I
success,
still love the
I think.
GA.
Do you?
Oh, I love it. I love the matches.
You watch the matches and everything.
I love the matches now. I really do.
Of course, you had big. I did Crane slamming on the podcast and Jimmy Hughes a few weeks ago.
Oh, Lord, we used to go off on the bus. I heard them.
That's
It was
right.
very
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Oh, they were
And
very
they mentioned
good.
pick up Emmy and Frank and the big two big trays of sandwiches.
Yeah. And you'd look at the light bill Saturday and you'd say, feck it, I'll pay it next week. You know, and you'd be gone off with the few shillings you had.
Did you enjoy them times?
I did every bit of it. I did indeed.
Of course, every Sunday you were in Crow Park at them days, wasn't it?
Well, we were. You had hurling on Sunday and you had football the next Sunday, you know. They're great teams that time, you know.
Would you go to any matches now, Emmy?
No. I never went to a match since Frank died. Lord rest him. Me and him went to all the matches.
Did you?
Oh, we never missed a match. Tullamore, wherever it was, we went.
Why is that you didn't go to a match after that?
It wasn't the same, you know, I suppose. And then a couple of times you're in a heavy show when you were on blood pressure tablets and Jesus and cholesterol tablets, you wouldn't be shouting too much.
Do you mind me asking you what happened, Frank?
Frank had a bad chest. He had bronchitis, and the mill had a lot to do with it too. That time, you know, the flour. There was, you know, there was a lot of people like that. Lord of mercy in the mall.
You know, obviously, with a big family, it must have been tough at that
Well,
time.
he
when
used to pass the door on the bike to dig a grave, and he'd be coming home for his dinner. And when he'd have the grave dug, then he'd come in for his dinner and back to the mill again. And then they worked on night work, and you got so much. You got £5 or £10 extra if you worked the nights, you know.
Yeah.
But he was a great worker. He was a great man now. He reared a great family.
Yeah, absolutely.
Same as your own father now, and everyone else's father was the same, you know.
Working hard and just
Working hard.
getting by.
Does your father play about music now? Lord?
He does, yeah. He still does. Yeah, God, he does.
Now, the night of my 8th birthday, we had great crack.
All right.
Oh, we had great crack. Oh,
He gets a crowd going, in fairness to him.
he was brilliant.
And you'd be actually the same age, my father and yourself.
Well,
wouldn't
I'm 84 now. Your father be 81, is he?
he's 83. He'd be
83, yeah.
84 in January. 83 or 84
You just
in
keep
January.
going. You don't think about your age. You're able to get up in the morning and dress yourself, get going. And
Well, what is it? Because I think what my father says to me, it's in your head. Because he feels 16 or 20, whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
His body, obviously.
well,
it's
it's in
older.
your head to get out of bed, you know. And then trying to get down to your legs, that's another story. Your 2 feet, you know. That's another story.
I mean, what did you make of all the COVID situation at the time?
The COVID situation is, mentally, it's very bad now. I didn't like it because I was 10 days now in the room,
Right.
you know, and it would affect you mentally now, you know.
Yeah.
You really you'd kind of give up, and then you'd say to yourself, well, it'll blow over. You just had to keep that in your head all the time, you know.
Yeah, it must have been tough for someone like yourself.
Well, it was
outgoing
tough. It was tough because I'm a person, I don't sit down for long. I'm always on the go. Your mother know would be the same.
Yeah.
Be mooching around the kitchen and changing beds. And don't you know yourself, you just keep going.
Yeah.
That's what
But
it's
you
all
got
about.
it and you got through it.
Yes, we did.
Yeah,
We got
because
through it.
the last
Yeah.
time actually you were supposed to be on with me last year and
That's right.
I got COVID.
Yeah, that's
and,
right.
obviously
yeah.
couldn't. So
Yeah,
it's-
yeah.
this is a long time coming around, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an awful thing though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
I mean, we all got the measles long ago, and there was all sorts of flus, and I think science is brilliant. All the doctors and the nurses now, God love them, they have a hard time, let me tell you, in the hospitals, you know.
Yeah, it's a tough job.
You know.
Tough job. Emmy, we're going to hear from one of your grandkids now, a granddaughter actually. Okay, Amanda. Let's have a listen.
Amanda, yeah.
Granny Ska, she is just the type of woman I think we could all learn a thing or two from. She doesn't let things get her down, and she always finds a way to see the positive side, you know, and that's not always easy, especially these days. We all know her wit is second to none, and she can light up a room in a second with a funny joke or giving someone a slagging, and I see it in the chemist, and everybody around her has a smile on their face, and it's lovely. That's a real talent to have, to be able to make people smile. You know, and she's so good to all of her kids. grandkids and great grandkids, never forgets a birthday or a Christmas. And God help her, she must have a little black book of dates that's as thick as the Bible at this stage. There's not a whole lot I can say that everybody doesn't already know. She's a marvellous woman. And she is truly the legend that everybody believes she is.
Well, what do you think of that, Emmy?
It's good, yeah.
You like that?
Yeah.
She'd be kept.
Well, I'd be looking at Lowry putting and calling him names then when he doesn't put. But he's after giving the county and the town a good lift as well.
Absolutely. Fantastic, yeah. Unbelievable.
It's not... I don't want to brag around. I'm not a bragger. I don't believe in it. But he's such a kind lad as well. He's very good to his mother. He's very good to me as well. Never forgets his granny. And I'm thinking of going on his management now because Jesus, I'm going everywhere. He has someone gives you a photo or a bunch of flowers, but you know yourself now.
Emmy, what's it like being famous now?
Lord, I wouldn't say famous. I don't want to be famous.
Infamous then.
I want to be Emmy,
Yeah. Which is great because you are. Now, you haven't cursed on this podcast yet, so you're not too bad.
I'm nearly lockjaw at this moment.
And I've no bleep putting here as well. But going back to, you're talking about Shane there, like that, obviously you've done a lot of interviews about it, but just take us back. It was amazing for you to watch sitting at home.
And I met golfers, lovely fellas. I met Rory and Tommy Fleetwood and a lot of them. And they're lovely fellas. They mightn't have showed.
Yeah.
People had said, this fella stuck up and other. But they're lovely people when you meet them in person now. Of
course, you wouldn't be shook by their fame. They're just normal lads too, but to me they'd be
and Bridget be nudging my mother doing course. I used to go, no, don't be talking.
But them boys would probably love that.
Of course they would. But you wouldn't be too rude now,
So who was the most famous person you met, would you say, of all this?
Tommy Fleetwood's a lovely fella. And Rory or McDowell is a lovely chap. They're all lovely, Rory. They're all nice fellas. They're gentlemen now.
You mentioned, I think, on the Joe Duffy show, actually, you had your own show. I was coming off from Cork the day after Shane won the Open. Yeah. I turned on the radio and Emmy Scanlon was on for a full hour.
Yeah.
That was brilliant. What did you think of that?
Well, he was very, very good, isn't he?
Yeah, brilliant, yeah.
And then
sure.
Daniel's come on,
Daniel was on, yeah. Would you be a fan of Daniel now, you would?
Anyway.
Well, now, Emmy. And you're lucky you didn't get a piece of audio from Daniel sent in now. Was that Daniel sang that there or something?
No, I just sang the sound of Town of Clara, that's all.
Yeah.
But it's very good. Joe Duffy's a lovely man. He
nice
sends
man.
me a card at Christmas.
Does he?
A card from Radio,
wow.
Yeah,
and were you on for your birthday as well there recently?
And I got I got a letter from Lochray from a man. Fucking 70. Want to know what I join up with him? I'll say to him, what I tell you now.
Hold on a minute now. Emmy Scanlon's getting fan mail, dating letters.
Oh, yes, he wrote to me from Lochray. I said, hold on there. No. So I wrote back to him. I said, no.
Did you? You wrote back?
I did.
Oh, fair play to you. What did you say about it?
Well, just... The offer wasn't available now, I'll tell you that much. I'll tell anyone that...
Did you tell him he was too old?
13 children, you'd rather get him to bed on your own, I'll tell you that much.
Well, he was 70 now. He was a bit too old for you now, in fairness. 70.
Well, imagine putting him to bed first and you getting him behind. Oh, Jesus.
What would your grandkids think of that now? I can see Gary Scanlon now heading for him.
Oh, just that wouldn't work out at all. No, God, no.
Before Shane got into golfing now, of course you love sport. Did you like golf?
Well, I love all sorts of sports.
Do you? Yeah.
I even look at Man United and Chelsea and, I love all sorts of sports. Any sort of sport I'd look at.
Would you have a particular team that you'd like?
Well, Manchester United or Liverpool. Now, of course, Liverpool was always an Irish contact. There's always... The Irish people always loved it, from Liverpool.
You mentioned Shane, so we might as well hear a piece from him. Okay.
Oh, God.
I always remember when I was a young lad, I suppose, how good she was to us. mean, she brought me to Crow Park for the first time. I used to go to Crow Park with her all the time. She used to bring me up on the train. I always remember she'd be making the sandwiches in the morning. She'd bring them all up, and she'd be making sandwiches for the whole place. We used to go to Conway's pub, and her and Crane Slamming have a bag of sandwiches there. We'd be in there having a few drinks for the Offaly matches. That was, I suppose, back in the 90s, but how good she was to me when I was growing up. We obviously lived very close to her. I used to do all her gardening for her. Used to mow the lawns and cut the hedges and all. She used to give me a few quid. She always used to give me money. Just like I keep saying, like I said, how good she was to everyone, how generous she is, how she's always been like that. And obviously she became super famous after the Open, which was very funny. But yeah, she's just a great person, great woman, and someone who we all love.
So now, it's your grandson, Shane Lowry. What do you think of that? Always giving him money, that's all I heard. Anyway. How much does he owe you back?
We won't discuss that.
Is there interest in this loan now?
I hope so.
You debt collectors after him.
Oh, cheers. It's really
Nice though, and I think what's lovely is the memories there. Going on the bus, his first trip to Crow Park.
Lord, I enjoyed Crane Slamming and that was all true.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And Crane taking the meat out of the bag.
When Crane used to have rabbits, and John Slammer was always hunting rabbits. Yeah. And I'd boil a lump of ham and Packy slamming at me. Oh, Lord, Packy slamming. Oh, jeez, we used to have great crack with them. Lord have mercy on them all. And Kevin Kine.
Lovely.
Poor Kevin. Lord, he loved old football.
Lovely person.
See, that was people's livelihood, you know. And then we'd have an old sing-song, and John Moore and Lord of Mercy and there's so many dead now that I could talk about, you know, and we're all great followers of Offaly and, you know.
So, like, was it going back to the matches then? Was it just the meeting people and having the
Well,
crack?
it was meeting people, you know, and we used to go down to Kilkenny then. Frank had a brother in Kilkenny, you know, and Frank used to say to me, we'll go to Langton's pub, you know.
Oh, yeah, a fine place.
We might meet, you know, that time you'd love to meet one of the hurlers because they were always famous. But, you know, and you get your picture taken with maybe someone would have a camera and that, would you shake hands and you'd be bragging about it when you come home. You'd be delighted with yourself, you know, so that's the way life was.
That was the highlight of meeting.
That was the
some of the
highlight,
players.
yes, that's what it was, the highlight of living.
Emmy, are you into politics at all?
Well, no, if I had a tin of paint, I'd paint Molly Farrell's in the town.
Would you?
I would.
Okay, so
The
now
town is lovely. It wants to be brightened up a bit.
Right,
We've a
fair
grand
enough.
town. We've a lovely town. And Clara will be always Clara. But that needs to be painted.
what would you do if you were in charge of the town?
There's lovely people in the town. You know. I don't know. I wouldn't. That wouldn't worry me, you know. But you'd like the town to be brightened up a bit, you know. Maybe I'd be shot down for saying that now, but there is places needs to be painted up.
Yeah, no, absolutely, there is.
Dig it up, you know.
There's actually a meeting this week on about Clara.
You know, it needs to be done just to brighten up.
A little bit of pride back into
You
certain
know,
places.
A little bit of pride.
Would be lovely.
Yeah.
Because there is lovely areas in Clara.
And there's good people in Clara, and there's good
the
pubs in
best.
Clara.
Yeah.
I mean, there's Dolan's there. That's where we started playing music first. And Desi be playing the flute, Desi used to play. And the Finns would be there, you know. I think the Finns never left it. They're always there. But anyway.
There's some of the Finns great musicians, isn't there?
Oh, they're every one of them. Oh, God. Joe Finn, the father, used to play with us, you know. And I remember one night we were below. We used to practice in my granny's, you know. We'd all go down, but we were waiting for Joe. He never came. But my poor old grandmother, Lord rest her known, on my father's side, she lived next door and she used to come out to hear the music. And I remember she came in and Frank showed her. He says, Granny, he said, any sign of Finn? Oh, yeah, he's outside, she says, putting his flute in the bar. Do you see, he played the flute. Now, that's nothing rugged, right?
Yeah.
But you put it into the barrel and the sound, it'd come out of it better, you know. Then there'd be a row. I made up a song, then there was a row coming up until the morning when I drove Fury was driving us. Oh, Jesus. Oh, Lord. Billy Whalen from Castletown was with Joe. Billy played the piano. He was a great musician, Billy was. And he didn't come when we brought my father. And then they used to have to show my father 3 keys on the piano. He'd be pressing them all night, you know. And if you looked round and missed one, you'd hear, you'd hear a squeak, you know. Jeez, now sure I could write a book, really, you know.
What do you think of the politicians in the town from years ago? Brian Cowan and all them, big fans?
Brian Cowan was one lovely man, he's still. Yeah. Brian Cowan he was something special, Brian was. Brian was a terrible nice fella. Like he spoke to everyone, he went to matches with everyone, and in an old pub there you'd have an old sing-song with him. And, hopefully now he'll be back to that again, please God. Yeah.
But Brian Cowan doesn't send messages in for anybody into this podcast.
Does he not?
But he sent one in for you.
He didn't?
Yes, we'll have a listen.
Jesus.
Just giving my good wishes again to Emmy, who's a famous Clara woman. In her own right, I'd make the point, not necessarily that she's a mother or grandmother, which happens to be, but a great-grandmother, but a tremendous character. I first knew Emmy, believe it or not, 60 years ago, coming into my place in the old bar.
That's right.
Before we built a new one around the 66, 67. That's how far ago it is. So, I'm glad to hear she's in such good health, keeping well, keeping everyone informed, a great sense of humour, great singer, great character, a great raconteur, and a person who we all love very, very much. So let's look, Emmy. Hope you're keeping well.
Lovely. It's lovely.
That's lovely. Brian Cowan.
Very fond of Brian Cowan. Very fond of him. We all were. The whole town is, you know. Sure, everyone. The government has a hard time now today. And any government, doesn't matter who's in government, you know. And then there's a lot of people in Ireland now that, you know, but everyone needs a home, don't they? And everyone needs a place to live.
Yeah.
You don't like to see anyone on the streets, no matter who they are.
Would you be a very caring person?
I would.
Nice to get that from Brian Cowan there. Yeah, and thanks, Brian, for your time. As I said, he doesn't send messages in for everybody.
No.
But when we asked him...
Me and him used to sing together.
Did you? What would you sing?
Oh, he grand. I can't think of them now, you know. We used to sing together. It was great. Sure, me and Nola Keenan was singing above at Jimmy's party, and 2 of us got the fog, spitting into one another's face, and the 2 of us got the virus. Huh?
What was it like singing in front of thousands of people down in the Greenfield at Shane's homecoming?
It was lovely, yeah. Well, I was always kind of used to that. I'd sing in the pubs, and we played all over the place, you know. Yeah.
But that day, with thousands of people there and everybody, it was unbelievable, wasn't it?
It was super now. It was really, it was something like could never happen again, you know. Yeah. And everyone will keep it in memory, you know.
Lovely to have for the town.
When you're popular. Oh, it's lovely for the town. Delighted for the town. Because we have a lovely town. And no matter where you go, we used to go down to Kilkenny, you know, and there was a Gagan man down there who was related to them on the new road. And the last word of him, when I go to Clara, I'll meet you in Carey's, you know, that was great times.
Carey's was some spot back then, wasn't it?
Oh, jeez.
I remember Carey go down and did the food at the front.
Billy Cowan and Bernie and...
The lovely breads on the counter at the front.
Joe Price, and have the turnover loaves. And I tell you about the covers. Jesus, don't be talking.
Nothing wrapped.
Nothing was wrapped. And then if you were hungry, you had the middle of going home.
We used to bring the bags down. Doreen Feehan was working there at the time.
That's right.
And we used to bring the bags, and Doreen would give you...
That's right.
20p or something, you know. That was recycling back then.
Yeah.
There's a guy in Clara called Andrew Dignam, and he has wrote a little poem about Emmy Scanlon.
Oh, Lord.
Yes.
Oh, yes. His mother's from the Green. I know who you're talking about.
Okay. I'll have a little listen here now.
Yeah.
A mini powerhouse, a legend, a screen to listen to, the matriarch of a fond family all greatly respected, a mammy, a granny, a true heart we all aspire to, a lady above all, to whom a nation is now connected. Beloved of us all, none more than our own dear Frank, our soulmate and partner, fond of story and song. Between them a family proud raised, gifted sportsmen, dancers, singers, storytellers, and hard workers with honest, warm smiles strong. Wit and humour, sharp tongue never dulled, bonreen ufalia, the pride of Kilcoursey, the curly mop-haired babe she lulled, an open champion, a talent she could foresee. Through tough times and good times, words of wisdom, humour and straight talking abound. Her smiles, good nature, pride of place shines. Her simple mantra, often quoted, keep your feet on the ground.
That's it. That was my password.
That still is.
I always say it to Shane, keep your feet on the ground and you'll be doing all right.
Thanks, Andrew. That's lovely, isn't it?
Oh, beautiful. Thanks very much, Andrew.
The Queen of Kilcoursey, what's that?
No, that's enough now.
Emmy, what would you say I know your mantra would be kind of, keep your feet on the ground. What would you tell all your grandkids that? Of course,
well, I would, yeah. Yeah.
Lots of them into music as well, and of course,
there is, and they're all good humoured, and like you don't tell them what to do anymore. They do their own thing, and I love to see them all coming in. The mall rambles into me, And you buy biscuits and you have cakes there for them, and they should come in nearly every day,
Keep them going.
And then there's fucking days you'd love to see them not coming in, Would you just go home with it?
Would you have any regrets in life at all?
No.
None.
No.
Very strong about that now, none?
No, I've no regrets. No. The only regret I had if Frank didn't live longer to see all the good things that happened in life, Yeah.
But
that's the only regret I have. Because Frank was a great man and he loved all his children and grandchildren too, But that's life. You just get on with it,
Looking down and seeing all that, he must be very, very proud.
Yeah. Oh, I wouldn't say if there's a pub up there, he'd look down at no. Cheers, that's enough.
Emmy, what we're going to do is we're going to do a quick fire round, okay?
Yes.
So the first thing that comes into your head when you hear these. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Okay. What actress would play you in a film?
I love Marilyn Monroe.
Okay. First thing you'd buy if you won the lotto?
A house for myself up at the end of the garden with 2 locks on it.
GAA or golf?
Well, all. I love GAA.
Okay.
And I love golf now too, but I do love GAA.
What's your favourite song?
The Streets of Clara Town is my favourite song.
Best thing about Clara?
Best thing about is the people in Clara. The old people that's living in, the new people that's coming into it, they're all very friendly. And they're very kind to old people,
Okay.
Clara was always a lovely town, and hopefully it'll be always the same,
Gay Byrne or Ryan Tubridy? Should have put Joe Duffy in there, shouldn't I? Go on, you have to answer. Gay or Ryan?
Gay Byrne was brilliant. Gay Byrne was brilliant, sure.
Gay
Byrne was everyone's father, the whole world. The way he put everything across, he was brilliant. Oh, he was brilliant. Ryan Tubridy's all right too.
What was your favourite country visited?
In Ireland?
No, your favourite country outside.
I never was on a plane. I went out to Lawler's one time. I was 11-year-old.
You were never on a plane?
No, my grandmother brought us out. There was a lad with a polish box, we called it. It was a little small plane. And it was £0.5 crown for a family.
Right.
The 40 acres out in Lawler's in Villard. Oh, jeez, we were coming in through the town and hit a branch of a tree going over the priest's house and I went sideways. Well, I wouldn't get into a plane to go to Kilbeggan now.
No way?
No way.
So you were never out of Ireland?
Never was out of Ireland.
Wow.
No. Oh, yeah, we went to the Isle of Man.
Okay, that's
we were 40-year married. We went by boat. They sent us to the Isle of Man. We had a great time. We stopped with a Scottish man. And that was the first time I ever was out of Ireland. And we used to go down the beach. But I went to go catch Frank's hand one day, now when you'll be...
Yeah, getting the romantic.
You'll be young. Oh, yeah. And I let me say, what's wrong with you? Oh, he says, no, Emmy. He says, everyone is looking at us. And no one fucking knew who we were at all.
Don't know me.
Shit, don't tell me about love.
It sounds like you had a great crack out of two of you.
We had. Oh, God. Sure, he was a great sport. He loved the matches.
Yeah.
He loved the matches.
But you speak of him very fondly and very often, which is lovely, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a good father and he was a good man. He was. Brilliant. Very good man.
Right, we have the last question on the quickfire. It's a £1 million question. Okay, so thanks to the Mill House for sponsoring this. You can get down to Frank and Gillian tomorrow. Who is the patron saint of Spain? Is it A, James, B, Benedict, C, Francis, or D, Jerome? Emmy Scanlon for $1 million
The paper said
of Spain.
it's not France, anyway. Would it be Jerome?
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
Do you want to pick another one?
No, I don't want it.
You're wrong, Emmy. You're wrong.
No, sure.
St. James.
Oh.
See, if you were on a plane now, you might know that. You might hit the Spain.
If I was on a plane, the whole lot of them would be on the plane along with me.
Emmy, would you have any advice for the younger generation coming up now?
No, just keep going and work. Always have something to do and keep moving and keep singing, keep dancing and enjoy life.
Yeah.
That's what living is all about.
Will we hear you back on the Joe Duffy show anytime soon? No?
I don't know. I don't think so.
No.
That was grand, Joe.
Yeah. I think you have a thing for Joe. I think that's
and
Joe, right?
He's a very calm sort of a man to talk to, you know.
Yeah.
You feel like you knew him all your life. You know that's the type of a man he is.
Yeah. Brilliant. Emmy, thank you very much for coming in to chat me on the podcast.
Yes.
It's been a pleasure. And I wish you well.
And you. It's a pleasure to be here too. Your father's not here, we'll sing a song.
Well, you could sing a song yourself if you want. How about that?
Jesus,
Brian Cowan now is listening and he's saying, I wonder would Emmy sing something. It'd be just nice to get a verse or something. Would you?
I'll sing the streets of Clara Town.
That'd be brilliant. So, Emmy, would you like to dedicate this song to anyone before we sign off?
Well, I would. I'd like to dedicate to all my grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and I have a grandchild in New Zealand, Emer Henry, and she's expecting her first baby. And don't have any more. My purse is getting smaller. And Mary and Jean in Dublin, and all that knows me, my brothers and sisters, and hopefully they're all right. And hopefully they're not calling me an idiot tomorrow.
Will you make the trip to New Zealand, no? Too far.
Kilbeggan to be far enough for me.
Emmy, in your own time, take it away. The Streets of Clara. Actually, this is a lovely song written by Nestor Mann, I believe, isn't it?
John Nestor from Tubber.
Yeah, lovely.
Do you want me to sing it now?
Go ahead.
You were right.
We're ready, Emmy.
Never be right. There's a little spot in Offaly I'm longing for to see. There's not a spot in Ireland that's half so dear to me. I recall the years I lived there, sure I never wore a frown. Happy were my childhood days on the streets of Clara Town. I took a stroll up Frederick Street with a young lass by my side, beside the Brosna River, where its tranquil waters glide. I could see St. Anthony's College from the bridge at Charlestown. It brought to me fond memories on the streets of Clara Town. The old mill and the courthouse are a part of history's page. At the hall I often listen to witty Clara sing. I took a stroll up River Street and I called into Christy Count, drank a pint to freedom on the streets of Clara Town. The flour mill is still standing. There's no workers to be seen. They say it's part of progress in this little Isle of Green. At the railway station we gather to watch the trains go up and down. They brought back many an exile to the streets of Clara town. The new ways are all changing, and the old ways disappear. And the chapel bell reminds us of the ones that we hold dear. If there's only one wish I'm granted before the wheels of life run down, that I'll meet with my old comrades on the streets of Clara town. Oh, that I'll meet with my old comrades on the streets of Clara town.
Lovely, Emmy. Fantastic. You've done that before.
Emmy done
a
it
true
before.
professional
Yeah,
there. Finishing off with the tagline at the end. That's a lovely song, isn't it?
Beautiful song.
You know, and it's very poignant, the words and that and everything, you know.
And it's the truth.
It is, yeah. Very good. Emmy, once again, thanks a million. You were a gas crack. And thanks for coming up to Raheen. And you're welcome to call again anytime.
Well, when I get one of them push bikes, what do you call them? There's electric ones
Electric
now.
scooters. Emmy, thanks a million.
And you, and thanks very, very much for having me, Lloyd. Thanks a lot. God bless.
This podcast is brought to you by the Millhouse Bar and Restaurant Clara. Food served Wednesday to Saturday until 8 p.m. and Sunday until 5. Call today and book a table on 05793 308 62. And don't forget, our bar is open as normal, subject to restrictions. Looking forward to serving you at the Millhouse Bar and Restaurant very soon.
You just listened to What's the Story with Lloyd Bracken. Check out all our social channels for info on new episodes. Oh, and thanks for listening. On the Town.